Welcome to Why Your Business is Invisible Online, the podcast that connects businesses online with the people they want to serve. Joining me are my two co-hosts, and here they are.
I'm Jim Filatico. When I'm not helping my clients grow their businesses online, you can find me traveling with friends and family.
Hi, I'm Kelly Biggs, and I'm the AT alien of the group. I love hanging with friends and family, and when I'm not doing that, you can find me on Peloton. I've clocked over 2,000 rides so far.
And I'm your host, John Manatas from Oakville, Ontario, Canada, with my guitar in hand, my Wi-Fi on life support, but always in tune with my clients. So this week, I have Kelly and Jim with me. Let's jump into our myth busting. We definitely have a few more myths we want to get to, and we're going to talk about you can set it and forget it to kick things off. And that's all about, I guess the individuals that we've all encountered where they just do the basics and then think magically things will appear. They're suddenly going to get tons of leads and so forth, and that is a recipe for not getting the experience you want out of digital. Forget about being found. You're never going to get a lead if you just set it and forget it.
I have an example of, I remember talking to a prospect actually pretty recently, but the prospect was a photographer, right? And so she was in need of SEO. She's like, yeah, the person I've been working with just hasn't been doing a good job. I'm not showing up in Google. And I was like, oh, okay. But as you dig under the covers, and this is why we don't disparage anybody, right? I was like, okay, so what are you having them doing? Are you writing blogs? Like, what's going on? She was like, well, he's just not updating anything like I used to do. I used to do Christmas pictures. Mm-hmm. And I noticed that my Santa pictures are still up there. And I was like, okay, like what did they help me understand? Did they do your website for you? And then like, are they continuing to do SEO? Like that should happen monthly. Like you set a plan and you kind of figured it out. And she was like, no, they're doing website maintenance. I was like, what? Yeah, that won't, that's not the same thing, right? Website maintenance is they're just making sure the lights are on and everything's coming. So I guess in that regard, she didn't set it and forget it, but she was not updating and wondering why. I guess it just didn't update itself. I don't know. And then she's like, also, I've been in business for 10 years and by now I should be on the first page of Google. But Google me, you don't see anything. But no, she's never done any SEO. So no, just because and they do care about experience. So in some ways they're like, hey, the site has been there for a long time. We can trust it. But no, they're also looking to see, but has it been updated, right? So that's my example of set and forget. And I think you can also see that sometimes in when people are doing ads, and they run the same old ads over and over again. At some point, you've reached the
saturation.
Saturation point.
Saturation. Yeah. I was thinking of an economic term that we learned: the law of diminishing returns.
There you go.
Right. Like it's like okay, it will peak.
Yeah.
At some point, it will peak, and you got to do some tweaks to it. But yeah.
Interesting. I'm surprised there are still people out there that think they can set anything in this world and forget it. And suddenly, you're going to start getting the results you were expecting. How about you, Jim? Any interesting?
Yeah, I mean, I think just in general, when you're speaking with small businesses or businesses that are sole entrepreneurs, I think the case is they think that they have a website. If they build a website, they go to pick one, GoDaddy or a Wix or whatever, and they follow the directions and they have their 5-page website, home, services, about me, contact us, maybe an imagery section or whatever. They're done. And they think because they did that, they should show up, and they're going to show up. Mm-hmm. And in all cases, that's not the case. Yeah. I mean, and so like one I just recently worked with, It's a medical, small medical company. They've been in business for, I think, 5 or 6 years now. Built a website. Again, the generic headers for all the different pages. There's no good way for Google to find them. They had no SEO. They had none of the technical things that we've talked about so many times, the backbone of the website, because they didn't know any better. And I think that's the misnomers. People think that by building a website, it's just going to be there, and it's not. And so you have to explain, and I explained to this woman that, it's nice looking. I like the imagery and those kind of things. You don't have enough content. So there's not enough information in there for Google to say, yep, they're the expert. You don't have the backbone, like we've talked about, that shows Google's bots that they'll find you. And it's frustrating for them because they assume they did everything right. And the problem is if you wanted to build a website and have it set up for SEO and have it found sooner rather than later, it's going to cost you double, if not more, than what your home built website would cost. And so when you have that conversation with somebody, and when I had this conversation with the woman, it's like, well, I don't want to spend that much monthly. I already have a website, and it's like, yeah, but if you're not being found, you've spent money for nothing.
Exactly.
And it's really hard, and we kind of have to be the bad guy, because when we do have that conversation with somebody that needs a website, we explain what it's going to take and that they have homework, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And
exactly.
they have to, they have to provide that. But in many cases, and this medical company is just one of them, but in many cases, it's just that they don't understand what it takes to actually be found online. And it's not just building a website.
It's almost like, for us, in many cases, that we tend to get new business because others have gone through the set it and forget it experience. In other words, their previous provider, whoever it is, hasn't taken the time to walk them through what it takes to actually be found online. And then when you are found, what it takes for your website to actually start working for you.
Right.
I think, I mean, it really, I don't have any examples like that because honestly, with a lot of my clients, I think we all do this. We spend a lot of time up front walking them through all the work we're going to do just to build the website, and then what comes afterwards. I think a lot of them are blown away when they hear, really, I have to do all that? I thought I was just going to sort of wing it off the top of my head, and the content in my pages, I have it all in my head. Well, yes and no. I mean, we have to work strategically with some keywords for your business in that content and embed them. Otherwise, the robot isn't going to find the things it needs to find to put you on page one.
And like I was saying with those solo entrepreneurs too, sometimes they haven't dealt with anybody on the outside yet, a digital marketer or anything like that, or any marketing firms. And so it's just one of those things that they have to do to get started in business. And even doing their Google business profile, when you say that's critical, you have to have that done. And we've talked about that a lot, but they don't even realize they have to do that.
Yeah, that's another one. Exactly.
Yeah.
Which we see as basic. You're right. But a lot of them, like I think that the stat was over 40% haven't even claimed their Google business profile, which is, it's not a website, but it's like a mini website with a lot of information in some ways about you. And it's a give me. I mean, Google sets it up for you, and pretty much all you got to do is take the time to fill in the blanks together with somebody like us. And it gives you a great head start. So it's just something I'm surprised to see that is even still a myth out there, but it is. It is. I mean, people just believe that they can just build a website and suddenly magic will happen. And the fact that it still exists as a myth shocks me.
I have a situation where it's actually a company I worked for back in the day, years back when I was still in corporate. I got involved with, it was an electrical company. Manufacturer, and I got involved I was in the marketing side and sales marketing side, and I got involved because we were coming out with new products. And so we needed to have that information on the website. so that people from the government, from the military, from just consumers or electricians could see the information. And there was a lot of pushback as far as spending any money on adding that information to the website, because at that point, and this was 2015 or so, at that point, we weren't selling online. So why did we need to add all this information to the website? We have distributors that do that. We don't need to have that information. And it was amazing that they didn't want to spend the money. I mean, they were spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, on these new products. But to actually have the information out there, once we had the patents and all that kind of stuff, I get it before you don't have patents, but once you get that information out there that people can learn about and go to and spec, add it to their specs, why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you?
But yet it was a fight, just because you don't need to put it on the internet. We're not selling it, on the internet. Well, okay. But, where else are they going to find the information? So
exactly.
It's a great thing, and the website didn't change for years. And then once we changed it, and I was a part of that, once we changed it, it was more of almost like a website for investors and for banks, and not for our end users. And you had to click like 5 or 6 times to get to the actual company homepage to be able to find out anything about the products. And it was like, oh my gosh.
It's funny that you say that, Jim. I think manufacturers are probably some of the biggest culprits of set it and forget it, right?
Absolutely.
You go to their website, you feel like it's almost like a catalog. Like, I'm just going to put my information out there in a catalog. You're not thinking about, to your point, what are the keywords? What are things you can put in there that whoever is looking for, like, they got it? You want to make it easy for people to work with you, to do business with you. Manufacturers, we've worked with some of them, and what we found is that, they're pretty notorious for that. I check the box, I'm good, and they leave it alone. The other thing, you then run the risk of, we just had this happen this past week, is one of the clients that we built a website for, and they were a pretty big company. And when we did their website, they were like, all we needed to be is informational, don't need anything else. Well, they wrote us back because they're ready to do a refresh, or called us. And then they said, oh yeah, by the way, nobody can contact us right now. Like, our contact us page isn't working. And so my husband actually started to look behind the scenes, and God bless them, like some of their licenses had expired. And they don't know. Like, they don't know. No. They haven't even looked. But
right. Check the email box for the contact us at whatevercompany.com.
Yeah.
And there's 52 emails in there not opened.
Well, they can't even get to them because so there's that. But it's a cost. It's a cost of doing business at a minimum, right? At a minimum, you want to make sure your website is up and working well.
That, and if you think about it, for the set it and forget it folks out there, and then, like we said, there's still quite a few of them. If you don't evolve it, you look out of touch. Like your entire brand, sort of, people will go to your website. Let's say you get found, and then they're going to say, "Wow, that looks old," or even the design is old. It looks stale, or some of the stuff, some of the information on it is like out of date in terms of what's going on with the times. It's a living, breathing piece of your brand. And
back in the day, it used to be no white space, then it moved to white space, then it moved to parallax. Like, there are style changes, and this reminds me of, I remember I had a friend who I worked with, we were in banking together, and he I remember him telling me, because I guess you guys could maybe identify with this, because the women, I don't think, have this problem as much. But he was like, every year I change my wardrobe. 10% of my wardrobe, I change. Like, I go out and I take 10% of it and I throw that out and I buy 10% new.
Jim, we're doing it all wrong, Jim.
Because
10%.
and then so that a decade later, I will have replaced my entire closet and I don't look like I'm living in the decade before. And I always thought that was like the smartest thing. And I try to make sure I do that for my husband because, now women, we don't, we
Yeah.
excuse to
You do
go
it in one
shop.
season.
Yeah.
Guilty.
No, yeah. I got to start doing that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll take us 10
But
years though, to replace our wardrobe,
Yeah.
Jim, but that's okay. We'll be close to being in style.
That's right. It'll come back around.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're right. When you look at a website and you see,
Mhm.
the latest and greatest is from 4 years ago, it's like,
Mhm.
really?
Yeah.
And you see that all the time.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? You see that so many times when you look at a website when the, brand new product that just came out in 2020. And it's like,
Yeah.
when was the last
Yeah.
time you looked at your own website?
It's funny, some of the tradespeople, electricians, some of the contractors too, who are just starting out, they have that mindset. Set it and forget it. I really don't have to do that much. Like, what do you mean? I'm telling them what I do. How different can it be? And I guess we get into that conversation. I go, that's the whole point. I mean, the reason to have a website is because yours has to be the one that's different out there to make you stand out, not like everybody else. So anyway, I think we pretty much beat this one. Yeah, we definitely are saying you cannot set it and forget it. So there goes that myth. That wraps up another episode. My name is John.
This is Jim.
And I'm Kelly. Thanks for joining. Hey, don't forget to subscribe.
Thank you for tuning in to Why Your Business is Invisible Online. If you enjoyed today's episode, please do us a favor and subscribe and follow us on Spotify and Apple. Be sure to share it with other business owners who might find it helpful. If you want to dig deeper, contact us at ruinvisibleonline.com. That's capital letter R, capital letter U, followed by invisibleonline.com. Or message us on our LinkedIn business profile with the same title, Are You Invisible Online? The information shared in this podcast is for educational purposes only and should not be considered professional advice. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the hosts and guests and may or may not reflect the official policy or position of WSI Corporate. Always consult a qualified digital marketing expert before making significant changes to your online strategy. Until next time, keep connecting with the people who matter most to your business and join us for our next episode.